I get reached out by Mafio, which is a huge producer, right? He produces for Pitbull, Akon, Nicki Jam, one of the biggest producers out there, which he's here in Doral.
Yeah.
He ends up reaching out to me, sends me a DM, hey, I'm interested in the transformation, just like that. And I'm like, damn, I look at his page, I'm like, the followers are crazy, his network is crazy. I'm like, this is it.
Yeah.
You know, like I really got a celebrity, this is crazy. Next thing I know, next one, I get a Zoom call, Russian. Russian's another massive producer, right?
Yeah,
he's made stuff for Sean Paul, he's made stuff for Future, Lil Baby, he's huge, right? Raul Alejandro, all these people. So he hits me up, he FaceTimes me, he's like, hey, look, I'm interested in training with you, I've heard good things about you from Mafia, this. Boom, I get Russian. Next thing I know, it was just like one after the other. I get Yasiel Puig in here. You know, it's just like, I got Justin Jefferson. It was just like one after the other, right? It keeps going. I got Phantom in here. I get a WWE wrestler in here.
Yeah.
So it just kept going, kept climbing. And then I get the mayor in here, you know, just one after the other. And your work just starts to speak for itself.
Yep.
And your service finally starts to get that recognition. And people start talking and they start to, you know, recognize.
My friends, welcome back to the Smokey Mirror Podcast, where we dive deep into the creative minds that are shaping our culture and inspiring us all. My name is Jordan Jones. I'm your host and fellow creator, and I'm on a mission to spread knowledge and inspiration to help people like you leave your mark on the world. From artists to musicians to entrepreneurs and more, join me as we explore the intentional act of creation and the forces that drive us to do God's work. As always, please support the podcast by liking, subscribing, commenting, and support our sponsors, the #1 up-and-coming streetwear brand, www.scud.shop. And of course, for all your supplements, we have www.earthsaliva.com. Today, we're in the lab,
Sir.
the gym by Mac Method Fitness. He is a celebrity trainer that I met at Artlanta's little pizza party that he had a couple weeks ago. And he pulled up in a McLaren. So I was like, whoa, who is this guy? And then when he told me he was a trainer, I was like, what? So I was really excited to get in touch with him. And he was gracious enough to let us record in his gym. So Mac, I appreciate you, man.
Nah, I appreciate you, man. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
I appreciate it.
So let's just start off with, how'd you get into fitness? And then like, what inspired you to be a celebrity trainer?
What got me into fitness? I've always been an athlete. So I've always been into fitness, you know, growing up. My parents just had me and my brothers in sports at all times, so fitness is part of athletics. As far as wanting to be a celebrity trainer, that just happened on its own. It wasn't something that I had as a goal, you know. What I had as a goal was to just be able to have fitness as a career in general. Being able to train celebrities, that's just a blessing that came through the journey.
Sure.
You know. So yeah, man, I mean, basically how it all started. That's why we're here, right?
Right.
So I can tell you how it started, basically. So the beginning of Mac Method, I was basically looking for a job to pay my bills at the time.
Okay.
Right? I was 22 years old. I was in school. I was in college at the time. And I wanted something that I could still study. I could still do my schoolwork, you know, focus on my priority, but yet still pay my bills, right? So I had to pay my bills here and there. So I applied, started looking online for different, different jobs where maybe like front desk positions, things that were more lax, where I had time to do my schoolwork. And I found a front desk position at an all-female gym, which is here in Doral, which is my home now, which is how I know it was meant to be, right?
Yeah.
So I applied for the position. I went in for an interview. Interview went great. You know, everything went great, went smooth. Next day, I get a phone call from the owner of the facility, and he tells me, hey, look, you did great, but we filled the slot already. We'd much rather have you as a trainer. And in my mind, I was like, man, I don't have the patience for this. You know, I don't want to train other people.
Yeah.
I like working out on my own, but I don't want to train other people. He goes, hey, look, what if I give you a more, like a higher pay, right? And I'm like, how much more are we talking? He's like, instead of $9, I'll pay you $10. And at that time, I'm 22, you know, $10 is a good amount. You know, I'm like, all right, let's do it, right? So I have nothing to know. I know nothing about training. I don't have a license. I don't have a certification. I don't have anything. And I tell him this, and he tells me, hey, look, as long as you don't say anything, I won't say anything. So that's the type of gym we're at, right?
Yeah, okay.
It's your typical Miami thing. So I come in, you know, workouts written down, nothing in the top of my head. I come in, I start training. It's like 5 or 6 girls in a group. You know, and at first you're feeling it out. You know, you're nervous. You don't really know what the vibe is. But it goes great though. It goes great. Have a great first class. I started doing that, and probably for about the first month or two, I was just coming in there with workouts written down. Like I would write them down on a piece of paper. Then I started writing them on my notes, and I would just refer back to my phone every time I wanted to switch the workout up. I would say by month 3, month 4, it goes from 5, 6 girls to 25, 30 girls in a class.
Wow.
Starts getting packed, right? So he's telling me I'm doing a great job. You know, the streets are talking.
I'm going to say they must have been telling their friends.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Like
you know, everybody's talking. At this point, I had only used my Instagram for like personal things. It wasn't for business, right? So I wasn't even pushing anything. It was all word of mouth, organic. And classes are getting so big now, classes are in the parking lot instead of in the actual warehouse because classes are so big at this point. So things are going great. At this point, I'm done writing my workouts down. It becomes second nature to me, and it's like, you know, comfortable. So after that, you know, people start finding out, hey, I'm a trainer. I'm training people. I'm doing these classes. And a couple of my friends were working in different gyms, you know, like an LA Fitness type of space. And one of my friends says, yo, what are they paying you over there? Because, you know, I'm getting like 13 an hour. And that's where I kind of stopped. And I'm like, what do you mean 13 an hour? He's like, yeah, bro, and I don't do anything. They provide me the clients. Sometimes I don't even have a client. I'm just sitting there at the desk, you know, getting 13 an hour. And I'm like, man, this guy's getting 13 an hour. He doesn't have a license either. I'm about to get a degree in exercise science, and this guy's not even going to school, nothing. So I'm like, this is crazy. Let me talk to the owner. So I go to talk to the owner. Owner tells me, hey, look, you know, the best I can do for you, or he tells me, before he even tells me that, he goes, hey, look, right now we're in the middle of an expansion, so it's kind of tough for me to give you more. And now I'm thinking, why are you in the middle of an expansion? Because I'm making business grow.
Yeah.
You know, I'm making his business take off, right? So now I'm even more upset. I'm like, this guy really said he can't pay me because his business is growing because of me, and he's looking to get a bigger space. So I'm like, you know what, man? I'm just going to start looking for something else. So I start looking online, see if I can find another job here and there, and I can't find anything, right? So I'm like, at this point, I'm just about to quit. I'm like, man, this guy doesn't want to give me a pay raise. He doesn't respect me, doesn't value me. I was closing the gym, cleaning up the gym, opening the gym. I was doing everything. At this point, I'm running the whole place, you know? And it's crazy, man. I'm a firm believer that everything happens for a reason. And I think God made it happen in this way so that I can get to where I'm at right now. I'm about to quit. And a couple of days later, it's an all-female facility. A guy shows up. He's like, hey, I'm going to jump into the class. I'm like, look, brother, you can't. You know, this is an all-female gym. You can't do it. He's like, I spoke to the owner. He told me I can join this class. I said, all right, cool. If the owner said cool, then you're good, you know. His sister is one of the members of the gym. So we finished the whole session. After the session, he comes up to me, and he's like, bro, I had such a great workout. I would want to train one-on-one with you. You know, do you offer one-on-one? In my head, I'm like, I've never trained somebody one-on-one. I don't know what I'm going to offer this guy. I don't know what I'm going to do, right? But then the other side of me was like, I'm a hustler. You know, I got to pay bills. I got things that need to be done, that need to be covered, right? So I'm like, I'm going to make it happen. So I tell him, hey, I can't talk to you here, but I'm going to text you, you know, my location and how we're going to work this out. So I text him my parents' address, right? That's where I'm living at the time. My parents had a garage. They had a couple of rusty dumbbells, some bands, and I'm like, you know what? What's the worst that could happen? He doesn't like it and he leaves. I got the first month, you know, paid for. It is what it is, right? At this time, I have no idea what personal training is going for. I don't know like what to charge, but I'm like, you know what? $200 is $200. So I tell him, I'll charge you $200 for the month. We'll do 5 days a week, and don't even worry about how long the sessions are. We're gonna get the workouts in, right? I'm doing probably 2-hour sessions, right? 5 days a week. When you do the math, I mean, that's not 20 sessions. That's like 40 sessions a month because of 2 hours. And
2 hours is a long
So
workout.
what is $200 divided by 40? That's $5, right? So we're talking $5, right? We're talking $5, no AC, sweating in the garage, you know, just grinding it out. But this is what happens when I did that. He got an amazing result. He transformed completely. 2 months down the line, 3 months down the line, his sister now sees that. She says, I want to do what you're doing. He goes, look, I'm training with Mac. At the time, actually, I wasn't even known as Mac. I was known as Mark at that time, right? It's before Mac method. So I was Bodies by Mark. That's what it was called, right? So he tells his sister, shout out to Joelle, first client ever. So he tells his sister, Brittany, and she starts training with me, right? At this point, I said, all right, $300 for the two of you, okay? $300 for the two of you, right? So now it comes out to like, what, $250 a session, right? $250 a session, something like that. Like, you won't even get that at the flea market.
Literally.
So They end up training with me. She gets amazing results. She's still going to the group classes. This whole time I'm still training at that facility, right?
Wow.
So I'm doing this, hidden. I'm doing this without him finding out, without him knowing. So all the girls are seeing her now. They're like, man, you look great. What are you doing? All right, I can't tell you here, but I'll tell you after. Sends them all a text. Hey, look, I'm training over at Mark's place in his parents' garage, yada, yada. Next thing I know, we fast forward like 2 months. I have like 30 girls coming in and out of my garage, right? Fast forward another 2 months later. He still doesn't know what's going on. Fast forward another 2 months later. He ends up basically shutting down.
Really?
Like going bankrupt. Yeah, because, all the girls ended up coming over to my parents' garage, to the first lab, right? So I want to say I started in March. Now we're going into about August. So we're about 5 months into this, right? 5-6 months into this. My parents at this point are fed up. They're like, we've had it. You've taken over all our privacy. We got girls in the driveway all the time. It's always packed. I can't even come out here and get my laundry. Like, it's crazy, right? The laundry room was in the gym. So they're like, you need to find a place, right? And I'm like, give me some time. I got to see where I can find a place. So I start looking around. And it's like, yeah, I got 20-something, 30 girls, but I'm charging $5, $10 an hour at this point. It's like still not a lot of money.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I can't afford a facility. I can't afford a warehouse. There's no way. So I have no idea how I'm going to make this work. At this point, my parents are like, hey, you got to get a real job. Like, this is obviously not a real job. You got no 401k. You got no insurance. This is not stable. Yeah. It's good today, but it might not be good tomorrow. And at the time, man, like, I was livid, because I was like, man, you don't believe in me. You don't want me to make a career out of my passion. But I understand now, looking back, like, this wasn't something that was stable. It wasn't something that people were doing yet. People were not entrepreneur in the fitness field, or at least in the personal training field, right? You normally worked for a gym,
right?
So I get it. It was something that was new. It was something that wasn't done yet. So I understand, and they wanted the best for me. So safety was the best for them at that time, best for me. So out of nowhere, I get one of my friends, he reaches out to me, and I get a text, and he says, hey, there's this, I know you're a trainer now, there's this gym opening up that they're doing subleases where if you pay, I think it was like $400 a month, you get a key. You can bring your clients. The only thing is your clients got to pay the membership. I was like, all right, cool. You know what? This is what I needed. I told all my clients, we end up going over to that gym. This gym was called Iron Flex. I end up going over there, I want to say in September. It's like September, October. I end up moving in there. I remember because it didn't last too long. So I'm in there, I'm like, man, finally, I got something consistent. I got something stable I can really build in here, So especially, bro, when you're 23 years old, you're like, this is it.
Yeah.
I'm going to make a career here. I'm going to stay here. I'm already thinking I'm going to be here 5 years, 6 years, right? December comes, they're like, hey, we're no longer going to keep the gym up and running. We're going to close the gym. I'm like, no way. They're like, yeah, we're not making enough to meet the lease. We're going to close the gym. Bro, I was so confident at 23 years old, thinking that this was going to be stable. I had taken out an apartment underneath my name. I had bought a dog. I had changed my car. I had that's how much I believed in this, right?
Yeah.
That I went and took those risks, okay? So they end up closing down, right? And in the middle of them, saying that they're going to close, they tell us, hey, we're going to only be open for another month or two. It's Christmas time now. Couldn't get any worse. It's Christmas time. A lot of my clients are like, hey, I'm going on vacation for Christmas. I'm buying Christmas gifts. I can no longer train, right? So I lose 12 to 13 clients. At this point, I think I had 14 clients left, and I'm not charging much, right? I'm still not charging much. So I'm making ends meet. I could barely even pay my rent, And I remember at the time, me and my girl were arguing, okay, are we going to go back to your parents or are we going to go back to my parents?
Damn.
That's how serious I was about moving back in, because it was getting rough.
Yeah.
It was getting really rough. And something just clicked in my mind that was by any means, I got to make this happen, right? And I think that pressure forces you to create, it just forces you to create different ideas, and it forces you to become more ambitious, and it's like an inspiration that you get out of nowhere, right? And basically it forces you to become an entrepreneur.
Yep.
And I think what people don't understand is an entrepreneur is somebody who can make something out of nothing, right? So I go, you know what? I'm gonna start offering something to my clients. So I remember telling, and this is something that I tell a lot of my students now. I started telling my clients, hey, look, for every person that you bring me, I'm gonna give you half your month off, right? And then I would tell those new clients that will come in, every time you bring me 2 people, I'll give you a full month off. And I started doing that, right?
Yeah.
And little by little, you know, it was a New Year's resolution. It was a New Year's wave. It was like January. Bro, I just started piling up, right? And I was making nothing. But I remember, this is the craziest part, I was training so many clients, working so many hours. It had to be like somewhere between 65 and 70 hours a week. This is in person, right? That I was working so much, the transformations were just piling up. I didn't even realize, you know, I would take the starting pictures and then I would take pictures every month. Next thing I know, 3-4 months in, I got 15, 16 transformation photos. I'm like, damn, this is crazy. Start posting these photos. People start talking. I start getting referrals left and right. I'm like, I can really bump my rates up now. Start bumping up my rates. You know, I start getting some breathing room back. I'm like, damn, now I can pay my bills. I can get back to going to Chili's 2 for $20 with my
There
girl.
we go.
You know, like I can kind of get my space back, right? And so gym ends up closing, and I'm like, damn. I'm like, just when I thought I was able to breathe again, I'm like, the gym is closing for real. Like I thought, he told me they were going to be open 2 more months. They made it to like 3 months. They spread it out. I was like, maybe they're going to, and other trainers, you know, everybody's desperate at that time. There's like 4 or 5 other trainers there. They're desperate, so they're thinking, oh, maybe it's going to stay open. So there was rumors that, oh, he might be able to make the lease and we might be able to stay longer, right? Ended up not happening. Ended up closing. They got bought out by an Orange Theory. And crazy enough, man, a couple weeks later, the same guy, shout out to Jeff, hits me up and tells me, hey, look, there's another gym that just opened up with the same concept, right?
He's the one who told you about the first.
He's the one that told me about the first one,
Wow.
right? Which, and he owns his own gym now too,
Okay.
right? So this pressure kind of built us, you know? Because at that time, this didn't exist. Like facilities owned by an entrepreneur wasn't really a thing, you know? And if it was, social media wasn't really pushing that.
Right.
So I end up going to this other gym about 5 minutes away, and I end up training out of that gym now for about, I want to say, a year and a half, more or less, right? But at this point, like I said, I had my apartment, right? So I was living in my apartment. And eventually I started to notice this gym had this thing where if you had transformation of the month, right, your client, they will give you the month free, right? And I kept getting transformation of the month. I kept getting it, so they would keep giving me free months. The owner started to kind of see that, and he was like, you know what? He's got so many clients coming in, right? And they could see by the scan bar how many clients you got coming in. I knew he started raising the price on me. So other trainers were still paying $400 or $500. I'm at $700 now.
Damn.
Every month it was like, hey, it's $450. Hey, it's $550. Hey, it's $700. And I'm like, bro, it's gonna end up being like 2 bands, you know, in the next 6 months. Like for this, I opened my own gym.
Right.
So at this point, I started to notice that. And I started to notice the gym was getting empty, and it was just me at that point with clients, right? I noticed I was in there the most. And eventually I'm like, you know what? My gym in my building is a solid gym. It was like a 2-story gym, modern, brand new. I'm like, why don't I start bringing clients in here? So I started trying it out. I started bringing clients in the morning, did that for a couple months. Then I go, you know what? Let me start bringing clients in the evening. Start bringing clients in the evening. About 6 months later, I go, you know what? I'm gonna make the move. I'm gonna bring all my clients over here. And my clients, I was getting feedback. They're like, hey, it's nicer here. It's in private here. It's quiet here. And one thing that also taught me was that privacy had a value to it, right? So I was like, damn, people love the private factor, you know? They enjoy it a lot more, you know? It becomes more of an experience than a training session. So I'm like, okay, cool. Started training there. I'm training there now about a year. I'm in there about a year in my apartment building gym. And I get an email from the association. The association sends me an email, and they're like, hey, we've heard you're running an illegal business. You know, you have to stop tomorrow.
That's
right?
crazy. They call it illegal business, like you're out there trapping. Or
Yes,
something.
man, yes. At that time, I was feeling the same way. I'm like, I don't understand what I'm doing wrong. Like, I'm making people get into better shape. You know, I'm giving people better health, right? But I was like, all right, you know, cool. It is what it is. But I'm gonna call your bluff, and I'm gonna keep training in here, right? So they send me that email. I keep blaming. I keep, you know, training people, and even my girl, she was like, bro, she's like, we need to get out of here. You know, you're playing with fire. You can't keep doing this. And I'm like, I'm not gonna do anything about it. I'm not trapping. I'm not doing anything really illegal. I'm training, and at this point, I told my clients, like, hey, look, if anything does happen where, you know, the police come in or anything comes in, you don't know me, like, we don't know each other. I'm not charging you $1. We're friends, all right? So, and my clients were cool with me. I had known them for a while, right? So that we got you, you know, cool. We'll do it, you know. And sure enough, man, like a month later, a cop walks in, and and he's like, hey, are you Mark? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, we got a call that you're running an illegal business in here. You got to stop right now. I'm like, bro, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, these are my friends. Like, we're just working out together. Like, look, you're not going to play dumb with us. We've been watching footage. They've sent it to us. We see you bringing multiple people in and out 10 hours a day. You're in here 4 hours in the morning, 6 hours at night. Bro, you don't have that many friends that you're working out with, all right? And then I was just like, bro, I can't even lie to this guy, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, cool. I'm like, all right, this will be the last time. So at this point, one of my clients was a realtor. I'm like, hey, look, I need to find a property ASAP, right? I need to find a property ASAP with a 2-car garage so I can do what I was doing in my parents' place, but do it, you know, in my own, right? I got to do this. Because at that point, yes, my income was better than when I started, definitely, but it still wasn't to the point where I could have my apartment and have a facility. Like, and, you know, the reality of it is, it was like, I didn't really want to take that risk yet, right?
Yeah.
Part of me was just like, it's only been a year. It's only been 2 years that I've been doing this, you know. Yes, it's been going well, but how well can it keep going? So I'm like, let me get a house. That way, you know, I have my place I'm living in, but I can also run my business there. So she ends up finding me a place within a month, like this, quick. Finds me a place, it's turnkey, ready to go. I'm like, look, the most important thing is that I can go in there ASAP, right? I need to keep my business flowing. I can't pause my business. So we find the place. The place ends up being way out of my budget, but I'm like, I'm gonna make this happen some way, right? For 2 months straight, I did not go out. We did not buy a single thing. We were eating tuna cans. We were literally, whatever we had, we were going to our parents' house to eat food. Like, I was not spending money on anything. I was just saving, stacking up. Oh, and I forgot to mention, at this time, I had opened up a meal company as well for my clients. So me and my girl, we were handling the meal company. She was cooking. We would plate the meals. And then I would deliver the meals in between. First thing in the morning, I would deliver these meals to my clients, right? This is before we got a driver. Ended up expanding. We had another chef. We had 2 chefs at the time. So I'm doing all this too. I'm juggling all this while training my clients. So I'm not sleeping. Sleep at that point was not a priority. I didn't need sleep. I didn't care for sleep. It is what it is. So I was just grinding. I got enough to put down on the property. So, and it was hard because when you're self-employed, you know, I had never filed taxes either, right? I'm 24 years old, never filed taxes. And I find out, you know, hey, you got to pay these amount of taxes in order to qualify for this loan. Damn. So, bro, that hit me hard. You know, imagine you're saving all this money, right? And then they go, hey, we need half of it for taxes before you can even touch the house.
Damn.
And I'm like, no way. I'm like, you know what, bro? Maybe this is not for me. You start doubting yourself. You're like, how am I going to get this done? But I just put my head down. I kept grinding. Got it done, whatever. End up getting the house, right? And then I have to take out a loan. I take out, which this is something I also tell my students, until you're willing to invest in yourself on negative, right? You don't want this bad enough.
Right.
So not only did I just buy the house, but then I take out a loan, you know, on my name. So now it's like, I got the house loan, I got to take out a personal loan, and personal loans are not the same as a business loan. The interest rate is insane. I think I had like 10%, 11%, you know? So it gets heavy at one point. So I take out that loan. I build out the 2-car garage into a gym.
So that loan was for the equipment?
For the equipment and the build out, because I built the whole gym out. I raised the ceiling. I had it built with, I had them construct, what do you call it? They put AC in it. It was, I forgot what it's called, but the AC connects to the actual like electricity. So it was like a legitimately AC like gym, you know? So we build it out. We even had to build the door. So they break the wall down, build the door so my clients can come in and out side of my house. Yeah. You know, I wanted to make it legit, right? Yeah. And it almost looked something like this, but obviously it was only like 300 square feet. Smaller, so it was tiny, which I'll show you pictures of that too. So my clients loved it. It was private. It was nice. And it may not have been the biggest, but it was quality. You know, it was quality. It had everything you needed. And it was just, you know, it was just private. You know, it was a good place to train. So I trained out of there, I want to say a little bit more than a year. And it was crazy because COVID had hit 2020. I bought my house in 2019, right? I bought my house in August of 2019. COVID comes around, I think like February of 2020. That's when people start talking about COVID. And I'm here thinking, damn, COVID's going to hit right when I buy my house. This could get scary. You know, like I might have to go through more adversity now, even worse, because now I got these bills. I got, you know, just a lot more over my head. So I'm like, oh man, I'm like, what's gonna happen now? Opposite ends up happening. My business ends up booming. You know, like my business was gradually increasing, but it like 3x, like within 2 months. Why? Because all the gyms were closed except for mine. Why? Because mine wasn't necessarily a gym, you know? So now all my clients are telling all their friends that go to gyms, hey, look, don't tell anybody, but Max got a gym in his house. It's literally a gym. Hit him up, maybe you can come through. Business starts booming, right? Business starts booming to the point where I tell my girl, hey, look, if you don't want to cook anymore, you're going to be a trainer. You're going to be a trainer and take all these clients that I can't take, right? She starts taking clients. Bro, and when I tell you from 5 in the morning until 10 o'clock at night, that place is running like a factory. Damn. It's like people coming in, people coming out, people coming in. It got so busy that our clients coming in and out of the driveway were causing traffic. They were backing up traffic on the street because of how many people, right? So it was a hit. Like, it was amazing, you know, and people loved it. And I think, and to this day, some of the clients that have stuck around, or clients that, you know, I still keep in touch with, they say like those days were the best, you know, because it was an experience that you'll never get anywhere. Right. It was just so intimate, so private, you know, it was dope. And so then, you know, with COVID happening, you know, the houses were going up, everything was going up, and I'm thinking, damn, maybe we should sell the house, you know, maybe we should sell it. And in the midst of all this, right? In the midst of all this, I get reached out to by DBC. This is a gym. This is probably like one of the most renowned gyms in the country, right? LeBron James has trained there. Dwayne Wade has trained there. Some of the biggest names have trained there, right? A bunch of Dolphins players have trained there. And the crazy part is, one of my dreams was to train in that gym when I was in college. I remember showing one of my classmates, when we were in class one time, DBC, and I show him the picture and I go, hey, if I can get here, I made it. Like, that's it. If I can get here, I made it, right? And this is like 4 or 5 years before this, right? And I get reached out to by David. David's the owner of the gym. And he tells me, hey, look, you know, I think you'll be a good fit. I'd like for you to come into an interview. Well, he tells me first, can we jump on a call? We'll do an over-the-phone interview. If I feel like you're the right fit, I'll bring you in for an in-person interview. And I'm like, you know, I'm ecstatic at this point. I'm like, absolutely. I jump on the call, you know, it goes great. And then I end up coming in, I think the next day or 2 days later, I end up coming in to interview at DBC. Mind you, this is all surreal to me. I've never seen the facility in person, and it's just crazy. I pull up, interview goes great. You know, I end up signing the contracts, and basically how it worked was they gave me 2 months to basically fill out the space. After 2 months, you have to start paying a lease for the key, just how the other gyms I was paying. But think about it. You're now paying a lease at a place that's in the design district, high ends, as high as it gets. Price is a little bit more. Yeah. You know, price is a little bit more. It's a different ball game now. The pressure's different, right? So I'm like, man, that's a lot. You know, it's a lot, especially at that time. I just took on the house, the loan, you know. So I'm in there about 2 months now. I love the place, great experience, learned a lot, especially on the structure of a business, especially on the level of professionalism that they had, which kind of separates them as well from everybody in the fitness industry. But it's crazy. How it went was I was juggling Mac Method and DBC. And he even mentioned that he's like, you're struggling to kind of come into DBC because you have such a bond with Mac Method. And it was hard for me at that time because imagine I built this brand from nothing to where it's at. And, you know, I had my clients that I had tons of love for. I had supporters. I had people that had seen the whole thing. So it was kind of like my loyalty was going to reside here no matter what. Right. I can't just go to DBC and drop everything that I had. I can't do that. And finally, you know, the 2 month mark is approaching and I just don't feel like it's the right fit, you know, and I want to stay there. And also the dream I had of, you know, training these celebrities and having these NFL athletes and NBA athletes and all that, it was just starting to kind of go away because like I've been here 2 months and like, I don't want to sound like I was entitled, like I was expecting to get those clients. But part of what I was told was, hey, you're going to be given some clients and you're going to be able to train this caliber of client. And like, I hadn't got that yet. Yeah. So I'm not going to sacrifice everything I know and everything I've built until there's actually something put in front of me, you know? So we discussed, I told him, hey, look, this is what I'm going through. I think I need to stick with what I know, what I built. And he completely understands. He's like, look, I know you came in here with the wife and this was your girlfriend. You know, like it wasn't going to work. You were already loyal to this. Yeah. It wasn't going to happen. But funny enough, that experience needed to happen because this is where it gets good. So when David had posted me on his page, obviously I got a lot of exposure, right? And he's a very respected person in the fitness industry. So of course, what he posts on his page, people are going to respect, people are going to, have interest because of the fact that it's David, right? It's him. So one of the guys that followed him, he reaches out to me and he goes, hey, look, I'd be interested in training with you. I'd be interested in getting a session in with you. I've seen you on David's page. I saw your content and I want to start training with you. And I go, all right, let's do it. Look, I'm no longer at DBC. I'm now in my own facility, but if you'd like, I'll send you the address. If it's something you feel comfortable driving to, we can do something. So I go ahead, I send him the address. He comes over, he comes through, comes into my garage. Obviously nobody expects it to be a house, right? Pulls up to the house. He's like, hey, I'm here, but it's a house. That was like the norm. Everybody was like, hey, I'm here, but it's a house. And it was like, yes, you're in the right place. This is it. He walks in and everybody's reaction is always the same when they walk in and they're like, this is insane. They're like mind blown.
Yeah, because you built it all out.
Yeah, wait until you see it. I decked it out, right? It was literally like this, floors and all, just smaller. So he comes in. I end up training him for, I want to say 6 months now, right? His results are amazing. His experience is amazing. He loves it. And one day he tells me, hey, I have a question for you. Why don't you open your own facility? Something like a DBC type of facility. Why don't you do that? And I go, look, to be honest with you, I got bills up to here. I just bought the house. I'm still paying off this loan. I don't have the capital. And then he goes, all right, so what would be required in order to build something like that? And I go, man, honestly, I don't know. I'd have to do the research, right? So I go, I'd have to put everything in a cart, see what the equipment comes out to, see what the space comes out to, whatever. He goes, do me a favor. Find out how much everything comes out to and reach back out to me. So I'm like, why does this guy care so much?
Yeah.
Why does he want to know? I go, start crunching numbers. I go on different gym equipment sites, start getting an idea. And I'm like, okay, it comes out to like 60 grand for everything I need, right? I come back the next day, I see him at a session, and I tell him, hey, look, it's going to be around 60 grand, 65 grand for everything. He goes, perfect. How many training packages would you have to cover me for in order for me to pay for all that? And I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, bro, I believe in you. He's like, I want to see you win. He's like, I want to see you win. You let me know what it comes out to, and you train me for X amount of time. And I'm like, nah, I don't believe this. I'm like, nah, I don't.
That sounds too good to be true.
It sounds too good to be true, right? I tell my girl, she's like, nah, I don't believe it. Like, don't buy into that. But part of me wanted that dream so bad that I was like, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
Like taking risks is what got me here in the first place. So why not? It's time for the next risk. It's time for the next. And for me, taking those risks, I think, is what keeps me going and what has allowed me to continue growing. Because it's like, life is too short. Like I got to take that risk. I'm not going to do it in my second life. When is it going to happen? So I go, you know what? Let's do it. So I get somebody, my realtor, start looking for a gym, right? Starts looking around. I saw like 4 or 5 places before I found this space. I had put in offers. I had tried negotiating, but none of them would hit, right? I guess it just wasn't in God's plan for me. I find this place, and I'm like, this is it. Like, I was in love, I was like, I don't even want to negotiate. I don't want to try to haggle the price. I tell the realtor, I'm like, don't haggle. Like, tell them we want it.
Just give them what they want.
Give them what they want. Don't try to haggle. And I want the max amount of years. I want the biggest contract, the longest contract that we can sign. So he's like, okay, I'm going to go ahead and see what's the longest we can do it for, this, and this. So he tells me, look, we can do, I think it was a 3-year lease with a 3-year option. I'm like, whatever the longest, let's do it. I don't want to negotiate. I don't want to argue. I don't want to discuss, sign it. End up meeting with the landlord. Everything goes great. Sign, whatever, right? I reach out to my client, right? Hey, Jader. His name was Jader. Reach out to my client. I go, hey, Jader, just want to let you know, bro, I signed on it. They want first month and last month. I'm going to cover that. But just want you to know, like, it's done deal. Signed, right? He's like, perfect. I'll go ahead and I'll wire you over half the money now for the gym equipment, right? So about 2-3 days pass by. I haven't got a wire. No wire. I'm like, all right. I don't want to come off as that guy, like, chasing you. Where's the money? Where's what you promised me? Whatever. I'll see you at training, right? Next week comes. I don't see him at training.
Oh,
He
shit.
doesn't show up to the session. I'm like, this guy didn't show up to the session? That's weird as hell. He's never missed a session before.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So I text him, yo, everything okay? You coming through? No answer, nothing.
Oh, shit.
I wait a few hours. Hey, bro, are you coming in tomorrow? Like, let me know. No answer. Misses like 2 sessions back to back. At this point, I'm like, let me call this guy. I called him 2-3 times, no answer. At this point, bro, I just put my head down and I'm like, yup, it happens. It really happens. I tell my girl, I'm like, hey, this guy's not answering the phone. And she's like, I told you.
Told your
Like, I told you not to do this. I told you it sounded too good to be true. You never listen, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, fuck, bro, I cannot believe this right now. So I'm like, you know what? I got no choice. I already signed on the lease. It is what it is. So I got no choice. You know, it is what it is. I'm like, I got to figure this out. So I got a box in here, empty box. You know, there's no gym equipment, no nothing. It's literally just a box.
Yeah.
I'm like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to sell my house. I'm going to sell my house. The market is nice right now. I'm hearing everybody talk about how because of COVID, houses are going for sale. You know, houses are going up. I'm going to sell my house. End up selling the house, using some of that money to, you know, outfit the gym. And people ask to this day, why didn't I have like a grand opening when I opened this? Because there was nothing in here. I couldn't have a grand opening, you know? Instead of people building out a gym, you know, whatever, in a month or 2 months and then having a grand opening, I had to do this over a span of like a year.
Like piece
you know?
by piece.
Piece by piece, right? Which made it that much more valuable because it was like everything in here was earned, you know? So I put in here what I could at the time. And that's why if you go down to my page and you look at my post, it looks like some people ask, like, was that the same location? Was that the same place? Because I had it up and running for so long with just the minimum, you know, and bro, so there was never art, there was no painting, there was like no turf, the turf was green after we got the turf, it was finally green and we switched it. We didn't have this, there was a bunch of things that we didn't have in here. So it looked so different, people couldn't believe it was the same space. But it was over time. As the brand grew, the gym grew, and everything just went up in quality, everything went up in value. So yeah, man, I ended up doing it all by myself. You know, and the guy reaches out to me like a year later. He's like, hey, what's going on, man? Just want to let you know, I had some personal things go on, some personal issues. So I'm so sorry, bro, that I had to kind of just, bail. It was a lot of things I was going through, but I'm glad to see you doing good. I follow you on Instagram. I'm glad to see. And most people will probably be like, yo, go fuck yourself, right?
Yeah.
Like, block them, not ever talk to them again.
Block, yeah.
Or worse, But me, how I saw it was, hey, thank you, honestly, because if it wasn't for that push, I would have never moved forward. I would have never done this, and taken this risk. And guess what? At the end of the day, it built me up even more. And it allowed me to have that pressure to where it's like, I know I can do this now. You know, if I got through that pressure, if I was able to surpass that, it showed me like, okay, I can achieve anything.
I love that story because it's like you took that step thinking you had that security.
Correct.
And that was the only reason you did it, but really you could have done that before.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
When you look at it that way, it's like he didn't do anything. He didn't do anything for me.
He didn't do anything for you.
So it's like I did it on my own. Why didn't I do it earlier?
Yeah.
Sometimes it takes that type of situation or that type of scenario in order for you to take that leap. So yeah, man, I ended up opening this space, and little by little, things got better in here, and clientele kept growing and growing and growing, and to the point where, now we got 4 trainers. We got 2 locations. We opened up the second location on the beginning of this year. We opened up the second location, and now the celebrity part, that's the part that
pause before we get to the celebrities. I'm just wondering, like, what was it that got people to just keep coming back? Like, what was it that was different about what you were doing that other people weren't?
I think it was the service and the experience. Aside from, obviously, it works, the proof of work, people were getting results and all that. But remember, people can get results and then just bounce.
Yeah.
They get results and they're gone, But I have clients going on 6 years, 7 years, still in here. The majority of our clients do a year to 2 to 3, So I think it was really the experience that people get when they come in here, the time, the how well you feel when they're in here, and it's just the vibe, it's the energy, People feel like it's a culture. Every client in here is, when they meet each other, it's like a network right away. There's a connection. Everybody in here is good energy, I think it's it's the service, it's the culture that we've built in the lab. You know, everybody that's in here is in here to get better. Everybody that's in here is somebody who wants growth. So I would say it's the experience, people coming in here.
Nice.
I have clients that have come from all types of trainers, all types of gyms, and they all say the same thing. They're like, it just feels different in here. You know, it just feels more intimate, feels more private.
Yeah, I think it's important to highlight that because it's like you have to add more value than just the actual training.
Correct.
Because that right there really stood out to me. It's like everywhere you were going, people were following you. They were telling others.
It was how you made people feel.
Yeah.
You know? And I tell my students this. You can have the best workouts, you can have the best nutrition plan, but the most important thing is the relationship that you build with your clients. That's the most important. So I think it was that we actually would build a relationship with each client. It wasn't just like, hey, it's a transaction. No, it's not a transaction, it's a lifestyle. You know, some of these clients that I've had I had a grand opening in February for the second location, and I had clients from 8 years ago show up that I haven't seen in 7 years. You know, it's crazy. 7, 8 years I hadn't seen them, and they're still supporting. They're still coming out. They're still buying merch. You know, they're still responding to my posts. They're still supporting. It's a relationship.
That's real. I got another question. So have you always had that drive and determination, and even when things look bleak, you just keep going? Like, where'd you get that from? How'd you develop that?
Sports.
Sports,
For sure. Sports build adversity.
Football, basketball, what were you
Basketball.
playing? Okay.
Basketball, and unfortunately, I did cross country because I was forced to.
Unfortunately.
That was like one of the most miserable times of my life.
Definitely.
But it was a requirement. Our basketball coach made us do that off season as a requirement.
Get in shape.
So, but that definitely builds that, you know, makes you resilient. You know, it definitely makes you go through hardship, and it lets you know that at the end there will be, you know, light at the end. There will be an outcome, a positive outcome. But sports have definitely played a role in my mindset when it comes to getting through like hardships or getting through struggles, for sure, absolutely. So I've always been like that. Since I was younger, whenever I was going through something tough, I would push more.
That's a great mentality that other people should have. If you want to be an entrepreneur, you're gonna get kicked in the teeth. And I love because your story was like there was a lot of shit going wrong, or at least there was some pressure where it's like, I'm not making a lot of money. I'm just grinding through it, trusting the process.
Correct.
A lot of people don't see the behind the scenes. They don't see that.
They don't.
And then when they feel that, they're like, oh shit, this isn't working. Maybe this is a sign that I need to switch.
Yes.
And me personally, I'm kind of going through something similar where like I got a house, I spent a whole lot of money on equipment. I'm barely making ends meet, but it just feels like this is the way to go. Like it just seems like that's the right route.
This is like something that I tell a lot of my students, and I tell a lot of trainers that are up and coming. There's gonna be rough seasons. There's gonna be times that it feels like, man, this may not be for me. But those are the times where you gotta figure it out and you gotta get creative. When you get creative and you're able to get through that tough time, through that, you know, that dark time, it'll show you who you really are. And through that, you learn what works best for you. And when you find out what works best for you, you really grow.
Yeah.
You know, you'll grow at a much faster pace.
That's real. All right, so now let's talk about the celebrities. We got the lab up and running. Let's go. Well, how do we get these people in?
So you know what the funniest part is about me attaining these celebrities was when I got my first celebrity client, I was actually in a sling. I only had one arm, right? So
what happened?
I ended up having shoulder surgery.
Oh, okay.
Right? So I ended up having shoulder surgery. But the craziest part was the most pivotal time in my brand or in my business, in Mac Method itself, was when I shifted from me being the face to the brand being more important, right? That was the biggest thing. I think it went from being about Mac to being more about the method. And the reason that happened was when I had that injury, I had to kind of reinvent myself. I had to bring on help, right? I had to bring people in to kind of help me keep running the lab, keep running the show. And I had my first celebrity reach out to me, which he's like my brother right now. So I love that guy, Yuli Monster. Shout out to Yuli. So he hit me up and he's like, hey, look, I'm looking for a new strength and conditioning coach. Well, by the way, pro fighter, fastest knockout in the world. He hits me up and he goes, hey, I want to come check out your facility. I'm looking for a new strength and conditioning coach. I go, all right, cool. At this point, I don't really know him too well. You know, I've seen him at a couple events here and there, but we've never really linked up for a workout or anything like that. I didn't really know him that well. He comes into the lab. He sees the lab. He looks around. I'm thinking he's just coming to visit, right? He comes, he looks around. He's like, bro, this is dope. This is what I need. Something private, something where I can lock in, be focused, no distractions. I like it. He goes, all right, can we start today? And I'm like, right now? He's like, yeah, bro, it's what I came for. He's like, look at me, I'm ready to go. Sits down, ties his shoes up. I'm like, let's work. We start working, whatever, go through a crazy workout. He loves it. You know, he's dying, he's out of breath, but he's like, this is what I need. This is the push that I need. Finish the workout, goes great. Right off the bat, he's like, hey, I want to train here as many times as I can. And he's like, what do you have available? And I was like, let me see what I got for you. So ended up setting up a schedule with him. And he tells me, hey, look, I got a fight coming up in 4 months. So we lock in. I lock in with him. We start training. Mind you, I'm in a sling. So now I had to bring on somebody to help me out, you know, with all the movements and carrying the weights and all that stuff. So I end up bringing in Chris, right, which becomes the first trainer that I bring in here other than myself. Chris ends up being one of the biggest pieces, which right now, Chris is actually growing the brands at a crazy rate. Like, Chris has become an amazing trainer. Chris has 20 clients under his belt right now. He's out here transforming people.
So he's like a little Mac Jr.
He's like a Mac Jr. at this point, right? So shout out to Chris, man.
Shout out to Chris.
So at this point, I end up training Yuli 4 months. We go into that fight. He ends up winning that fight. From there, it just takes off. You know, he wins that fight. He's getting posted on Only in Dade. He's getting posted all over, you know, and he's already a big name. So his network is solid. So people start posting him. My exposure starts growing. And I get reached out by Mafio, which is a huge producer, right? He produces for Pitbull, Akon, Nicky Jam, one of the biggest producers out there, which he's here in Doral.
Yeah.
He ends up reaching out to me, sends me a DM. Hey, I'm interested in a transformation, just like that. And I'm like, damn, I look at his page, I'm like, the followers are crazy, his network is crazy. I'm like, this is it. Yeah. You know, like, I really got a celebrity, this is crazy. So I start training Mafia, we click right away, right? We click right away. He drops like 30 pounds like this, you know, we get him right, we get him in good shape. He's posting everywhere how he feels the best he's ever felt. His health is on point. Next thing I know, next one, I get a Zoom call, Russian. Russian's another massive producer, right? Yeah, he's made stuff for Sean Paul. He's made stuff for Future, Lil Baby. He's huge, right? Raul Alejandro, all these people. So he hits me up, he FaceTimes me. He's like, hey, look, I'm interested in training with you. I've heard good things about you from Mafia, this. Boom, I get Russian. Next thing I know, it was just like one after the other. I get Yasiel Puig in here. You know, it's just like I got Justin Jefferson. It was just like one after the other, right? It keeps going. I got Phantom in here. I get a WWE wrestler in here. Yeah. So it just kept going, kept climbing. And then I get the mayor in here, you know, just one after the other. And your work just starts to speak for itself. Yep. And your service finally starts to get that recognition. And people start talking and they start to, you know, recognize.
How many years was it from when you started at that original gym, the all-girls one, to this moment?
It's been like 9 years.
9 years. Wow.
It's been almost 9 years at this point.
That's dope to see that grind.
Yo,
we got Shane in Atlanta coming in. All right, so wait, what is like the difference between training like a celebrity versus training just like a regular person? Is there a difference?
To be honest with you, unless it's an athlete, it's not really a difference. Mm-hmm. You know, there's not really a difference. I mean, everybody receives the same type of... Everybody,
peace, bro.
All right, bro, I'll see you later. Everybody receives the same type of service. Everybody's going to get the same level of attention, you know, so that doesn't change anything. Mm-hmm. What does change now is sometimes they do require a little more privacy. Yeah. Because I've had somebody, like, I'll give you an example. I was training Giancarlo Canelas, right? And he's an actor, singer. Mm-hmm. And I've had a couple girls outside that see him, right? And they call a bunch of other fans.
Oh, shit.
And the next thing you know, we got girls with cameras coming. Can we take pictures? Can we do that? So the difference is probably the level of privacy, you know? And one thing I learned very early on was like, you don't post that celebrity until the session is way done. You know, like 2 hours later, because people will try to find the location, which pull up, which is another thing. Like this facility is not on Google, you know, like you cannot find it. People ask all the time, oh, why aren't you like every other gym that has your address in the bio and stuff like that? Because we have a level of clientele that I can't do that. Mm-hmm. You know, it'll make their experience uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. So
it isn't the cut. Like you see semi trucks and everything, you might think you're in like a manufacturing district.
Yeah, you'll never find it, right? Yeah. So the biggest thing is probably just the level of privacy. Mm-hmm. Other than that, the service is always going to be the same.
What about like personalities? Is there any like ego with them, or like I ain't doing that shit? Or
some of them, remember they have their personalities. You know, some of them are characters. You know. But then again, when we're in here and we lock in, you know, they're working. Yeah. You'll notice that they do have their traits and stuff like that. You know, everybody has their personality. That's everybody though, you know. But some celebrities, their personality is a little bit bigger than some people. which I've dealt with that as well. But, I'm not going to get into detail with who. But yeah, man, definitely sometimes there is going to be somebody who thinks that it should be done this way or done that way, but that's just part of the environment. It's imagine a lot of these people are used to getting what they want when they want.
Right.
They're accommodated for all the time. So it's part of it. They come in here with security guards and stuff like that. So yeah, but at the end of the day, like they do have a reason to feel that way. They've been through certain things, and I understand some of them have had some experiences which are crazy with fans. I've heard of experiences of fans snipping a piece of their hair, just to get a piece of their hair, like crazy stuff like that, So I understand now why they want some of these accommodations, like, yo, lock the door.
Yeah.
Yo, make sure the gate is closed. Yo, I get it. I get it. Yo, who's that person?
Right.
Why is there somebody outside?
A little paranoid.
Yeah, a little paranoid sometimes. I get it. But no, other than that, service here at the lab is a service here at the lab.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That's dope. I think that's amazing. I mean, do you have any tips for anybody? Well, actually, let's not even do the tips. Let's get into the course and like you told me that people were hitting you up like, bro, how did you do it? Like, give me some tips. And then you said they were using shit you said and getting successful.
Correct. So I want to say around the time that I bought my house, right? That's where the level of respect that people had for what I was doing climbed, right? People saw like, damn, this guy bought a whole house, 24 years old, doing training. So that's where people started reaching out to me. People were like, hey, I want to do what you do. How do I start? And at that time, there's not really anybody out here giving a course or a program on this is how you do it. I was just giving them advice that was organic. It was like, hey, look, I think you should go this route. I think you should try this method. You should do this, promote or post this type of content, stuff like that to grow your brand. And little by little, I started doing that with 3-4 people. And a couple months down the road, I see like, damn, this person has a whole clientele book. I've seen them training, boot camps with 20 people in the class. It's crazy. And just just 2 months ago, they were working at UFit or Planet Fitness. And I was like, damn, they have their own logo. It's crazy. Next thing I know, I see somebody else opening their own like studio, training people. And I'm like, damn, that's crazy. And then I start to look at their content on their page. I'm like, their content is exactly like my content. Their information, their education, everything they're posting is the same as mine. It's like photocopy, right? But it's working for them. So I'm like, damn, I just built this person a business. I'm like, I could probably monetize on this, right? And people kept asking me, hey, I have advice. Hey, you inspire me as a trainer. I'm trying to be where you're at. I'm trying to get to this level and this, yada, yada. So I'm like, you know what? What if I build something where every time people ask these questions, they're already answered, so I don't have to be like writing back to them. I wasn't even charging. I was just like, I'm gonna make like basically a preset of frequently asked questions that are already answered.
Yeah.
And I'll just send it to them, right? And I'm like, hold on, I can monetize on this. Like, I could definitely make some money on this. And aside from that, it felt good to see people grow a whole business from what they were passionate about. In my industry, it was dope because I know what they were going through with the doubts, with, the discouragement, with, the lack of guidance, with the confusion of trying to build something in this industry, because I went through it, and people doubting you, like, it's not a real job, it's not a real career, it's not consistent, it's not stable. So I'm like, we're all on the same team. Y'all are with me. I want to help y'all win too. I want y'all to show them, like, it does work, So I want to say about a year later, I finally had like an 8-page PDF, and I said, you know what? I'm going to start selling a course. So I remember I posted on Instagram, stories had just like become a thing. I had posted on Instagram, hey, drop your email below. I'm going to send out info for that, right? I had like 40 something people. It was crazy. Ton of people. Some of them I had graduated school with. Some of them I met at the gym. Some of them were mutual friends, stuff like that. A bunch of people reached out to me. And I said, okay, man, there's a lot of people interested in this, right? So at the time, my mentorship was like $300, $400. It was nothing. Mind you, to set up a business where you can make 6 figures, and I'm only charging you $300, $400, right?
That's a steal.
That's a steal, right? Obviously, you got to put in the work and you got to put in the time, but I'm giving you the blueprint to do it. So I end up selling that, and I'm like, man, people are really buying this thing. So little by little, I start to add to it. PDF gets bigger. PDF gets, more in depth. I start giving them everything I'm doing for that. Now I go, okay, what if I include my actual method? My nutrition plans, my presets, my invoices, the way that I run the back end of my business. everything from A to Z. I go, this is really a plug and play fitness business, like fitness brands, you know? Yeah. So I start doing this, and I start pushing it harder, and I start getting feedback from some of these students like, bro, you changed my life. Like, I opened an entire gym because of you. I was able to finally have a kid because I could afford a kid.
Damn.
Like, it was crazy,
That's
right?
Powerful.
It's nuts. So I'm like, man, this is more rewarding than transforming people at this point, because now you're transforming somebody's life by allowing them to use what you love, fitness, to give them a life, to give them a career.
You're really in the business of transforming people, either your body or your life. Career.
Correct. So
That's
it's like you're right. So it's still transformations. It's just transforming your business, your income, and transforming somebody's health. So I started doing that, and then I started realizing, like, man, there's a really big market for people who want to train but don't know how. People that want to, or that have already been training, but their business hasn't had success because they haven't done X, Y, Z, which are simple things that you can just turn your whole business around with. So that's where I end up working with a company, right, like an e-com business, and they basically help me maximize that business. They help me maximize that entire mentorship to a point now where it's like, okay, we have a guaranteed blueprint now. Like, you touch this blueprint, you're gonna have a business. It's gonna happen. So now that's my main focus, is growing these other trainers' businesses, is helping these other trainers have kind of that guidance or have an insight of what it takes to get to that next level, you know? So that's the biggest thing I've been pushing right now, is my mentorship and bringing in clients for the trainers, helping trainers retain clients, and letting them know, hey, look, you may have been discouraged, but you may have been doing all the wrong things. You know, that's why you're not seeing what you'd like to see. So let's go ahead and do all the right things and watch how quickly things change for you.
That's dope.
And yeah, man, I mean, I have people that have gone from 5 clients to 25 clients in a matter of a month by just flipping their content, flipping the way that they position themselves. So yeah, man.
Man, that's so cool that you're giving back, but also, you know, making money off of it too. It's like you're using those years of experience, all those trials and tribulations, the tough things. Like, now people can benefit from that experience. And then, of course, you can benefit too because you're getting the money. What's it called? Because I love how you maximizing. Like, what is the course called?
So initially it was called the Maximized Mentorship.
Yeah.
But now when I started working with that company, it's Get PT Clients. That's what it's called. So getptclients.com. You can jump on that, and then, you know, you'll see everything we offer in that program. You'll see how it's structured, and you'll be able to see all the testimonials of everybody who's had that experience, you know, and changed their life through that mentorship.
Where do people need to be to be like, yeah, I should get started with this? Do they need to have like a couple of clients? Do they need to be in a gym? Can they be totally green?
You can be on zero, right? You can be on zero, but if you have the drive to do it and you have the discipline to stay consistent with going out and trying to get those clients and sticking to the methods, it doesn't matter if you're on zero, right? I've helped students from zero, from scratch, build up to 20 clients, and I've helped people that come in with 10 build up to 30 clients, right? It just really depends on how much work are you willing to put in. That's what I tell people. So one of the things I tell my students all the time is, I wish I would have done more free work, because it's not free. You're investing time, and that time is what's going to get you back those transformations and that experience, which in turn is going to bring in more clients. It's going to give you that reputation.
That's really powerful. One more question. How did you figure out the pricing on that? Did the ecom people help you on that?
So the ecom people, they kind of see other mentors, you know, that are doing this, right?
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of people out there doing this right now. A lot of people are doing like the whole online programs, you know, trying to sell as many programs as they can for people to get in shape. There's not a lot of people out here who are trying to show the business end of how to help those people get in shape, you know, how to help trainers get those people in shape. So they kind of go ahead and they see what other people are charging, they see what value we bring to the table, and then based on that, we're able to adjust, okay, this is the price point. And of course, more importantly, we're getting reviews and testimonials, and we're literally asking these students that have already done the program, hey, how much are you making now and how much were you making before? So when you see that value of them going from, hey, I was making $1,500, now I'm making 10 grand.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, and what would you pay for this program if you had to do it all over again? Some of them, I promise you now, you can see it on the page. They'll tell you, I'll pay $100K for this. If I had $100K, I would pay $100K because it's allowed me to make $100K.
Yeah.
You know, so I've shown them how I went from paying, you know, charging $5 an hour in my parents' garage to having these multiple six-figure businesses, from my online business to my in-person to my mentorship. But it all started at $5 an hour, 1 point less, in my parents' garage to where I'm at now. But I went through those trials and tribulations. I know what not to do. I know what to do to speed the process up for you.
One thing I would encourage everybody is, if you don't have a coach or a mentor or even just a course like that, invest in it, because you're paying for the experience and you're paying for the years of trials and tribulations that you can easily avoid if you just give somebody a little bit of money. Invest in yourself.
Correct. I have mentors, I've had multiple mentors, and I tell people all the time, I would do it all over again. That to me is money always well spent.
Always well spent. I spent money I don't even have yet, just because I know that if I get that information, it's gonna put me on a level where it's gonna easily return.
Come back right away.
Yeah. But yeah, tell me about the tattoos, because when I seen the tattoos, I'm like, this guy's got artwork all over, and that shit is sick.
So the tats are kind of my brand at this point, right? The tats have kind of made me stand out, and they are who I am. My tats. They've basically, a lot of people, they know me for that, because like I say, there's a million trainers out here, but you stand out when you have your whole body tattooed. It kind of makes a difference, right? But I've always loved being different. I've always loved the artwork. And from when I was like 15, 16 years old, that's when I started getting tattoos, was 16 years old. I always wanted to have ink. It was just a thing I wanted. And then it's true what they say, man, once you get your first one, you can't stop. You get addicted, you can't stop. And then the other thing is, as you start to grow and your brand starts to grow and you as a person, you grow, and you realize, like, this is who I am, and people accept it and people love it, and it's just you follow it, you stick with it.
Who's your art? Can we shout out your artist?
So the first artist I used which I used for, I want to say like 8 years, 9 years. His name was Jay. IG is J723. I used him for basically all my upper body, all my upper body. And then I used the other guy that I used, which he's my client right now, is Chris _ tattoo 87, right? Chris, he's done my legs. He did my neck. He did underneath my jaw.
The neck tattoos are sick.
He's done that. So yeah, I've used two artists, and I mean, yeah, man, it's been a journey. It's been a process with the tats.
And how do your parents feel about your journey so far?
When I started with the tats, or
no, back to the fitness.
That's two different answers.
But honestly, I am wondering about that too. But first, let's talk about the gym. Like, what do you think?
With the gym, I mean, they're in shock.
Yeah.
Not at this point anymore. They're not in shock. They were in shock probably the first couple years to see like how real the growth is and how stable it was, which for them was like the biggest thing, was how long is this gonna last? Right. Everything. But for them to see for them to see where I've reached now, and the connections I've made, the network I've built, everything I've been able to accomplish on my own, doing a lot of firsts in my family, doing a lot of first-time things in my family, they're extremely proud. They're extremely proud. You'll see my parents, they're always wearing my brand. I
love it.
My dad, you see him anywhere. Like, people will send me pictures. He's wearing Mac Method. So
I love that.
Supportive.
That's dope. And it's nice that they let you use that while they could, and they were like, all right. But even that push, that forces you to get better.
It does. That's awesome. So I'm grateful for them.
So as we wrap up, do you have anything else you want to shout out? Any closing remarks that you want to give to people?
I want to kind of give a piece of advice to anybody who's being doubted, or anybody who's, not sure if their goal is worth, fighting for, or worth chasing after. If you feel like that goal is truly what you want in life, there should be no other focus. There should be no other priority. You should eat, sleep, breathe that. And being obsessed is okay when it comes to achieving your goal. I feel like nowadays we talk about a lot about mental health, which, yes, is important. But at the same time, people need to understand this, getting to a certain level as an entrepreneur will require some type of sacrifice when it comes to your sanity. You will lack sleep, you will lack nourishment, you will lack that mental space, but it's part of the process. So trust that, trust that pain, trust that when it seems foggy, trust that and keep going, because it's required. It's required to be ultra successful. And books I've read and mentors I've had, they all tell me the same thing. Look, it may seem like it's not worth it, but it's going to be worth it. So keep on pushing, keep on, fighting, and you'll get there.
Awesome.
Sure.
Thank you so much, Mac, for sharing your story, for all the advice, and even just for letting me come in and record this. I really appreciate it.
It was a pleasure, man.
Last thing, where can people find you? Shout out the course and everything again.
Yeah, so you can find me on IG at Mac Method Fitness. You can check out my website, getptclients.com, for all those who are looking to grow their business, those who are looking to get, more knowledge on how to run a successful fitness business. And yeah, man.
Awesome.
That's it.
All right, Mac. Appreciate you.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you.